Hello guys, I'm Cesar, welcome to my channel. So Roccia will be released really soon. You can already check her kit in game by going to the menu, then gallery and crossing stars. And this video is a prefarm guide for those who wanna max her out on the first day after pulling for her. On the screen you can see an overview of all the materials you will need. If you are an experienced player, this infographic is probably enough for you to know what to do. For those who are new or less familiar with the game, I will explain how to get each of these materials in the next few minutes of the video. After that, we'll talk about slightly more advanced stuff like her kit, echoes and teams. And there are timestamps too in case you're looking for something specific. First material, the Netherworld Stair. This is a weekly boss drop and you need to beat Hecate to get it. If you haven't done the story yet, you can come to this menu here and use the early access option to teleport to the boss. If you completed the story, you will find it around here in your map. You can do it 3 times a week to get up to 9 drops. You will need 26 in total, so 3 weeks of farming. But some skills, like the intro, are not that important to level, so you can max the relevant skills if you farm it this week and the next one. Next material, Cleansing Conch. We get this from Lorelei boss. You will find her here in the map, and I think there is also early access for her if you haven't unlocked the map yet. I don't have it anymore cause I already did that. To get Roccia to level 90 you will need 46 of this material. This one doesn't have a weekly limit, you can farm her all you want as long as you have wave plates. So we move on to her flowers now, the Firecrackers. You can track them in the game, go to your bag, find this flower here, drag down, press collection spots and they will be marked on the map. You need to have at least one to be able to track them though, so if you don't, just come to this area and pick your first one. You need 60 of them and they respawn every day, so you can finish in 2 or 3 days. If you're really lazy, you can come to this store and buy 15 weekly, not recommended, save yourself credits, you will need them. Next material is the Cadence. First, make sure to use your boxes, cause they are giving a lot of these in events, so go to your bag and trade them for Cadence Blossom. There are boxes for the other tiers too, Cadence Leaf, the purple one, and Cadence Bud here. Then there are some stores in the game that sell them for different currencies. They are all limited, but I wanna mention them in case you have not cleared some of them yet. In Shinsho there is the souvenir store and the weapon store. You can also trade Lempi Lumen ore for them at Tiger's Maw ore, and in Ruinacita you have the Bank and Mask Reverie. There is also the hologram store here, and finally the fastest way to farm them, which of course requires wave plates, this domain in Shinsho and this other one in Ruinacita. It's better to do it in Ruinacita so that you also get this item that you need for Roccia. And remember, you can always use synthesis in the menu to convert the materials into the next tier if you need to. Next material, the Tidal thing. Besides the domain, you can also farm them by killing monsters in the game. So go to your guidebook and find the monsters that drop it. It's mostly the humanoid mobs in Ruinacita. You can track them, kill them, and then the next one will be marked on the map, so you can fly to them and keep farming. This one is only if you pull for her weapon. You will need some Howler Cores. You farm them from mobs, just like the Tidal things. Open your guidebook, find the monster that drops the item, and track them. Finally, the experience materials and shell credits. They are giving us rewards for pretty much everything you do in the game, and most of the shops that I showed for the Cadence material also have them. But if you still need more, you can use your wave plates on Simulation Training in Shinsho or Gladiator's Portrait in Ruinacita. Okay, time to talk about her kit now. At S0 she is designed to be a sub-DPS for Havoc characters, especially Camellia, so don't expect her to do crazy damage numbers, but she gives a lot of buffs with her kit. We'll talk about them in a bit, now let's see her gameplay first. So this is her Liberation, which counts as heavy attack damage. It's 3 hits actually, but these enemies in the trial die too fast. And then the Forte is the most important part of her kit. You can hold your basic attack to charge it like this, you get 2 charges. Then you can do it again, or you can also get 1 charge by using her skill. So if you combine them, you can gain 2 with the hold attack and the third one with the skill. And after the skill, Roccia jumps into the air and you can press basic attack to do these special plunge attacks that count as heavy attack damage. You can do the plunge with just one charge on her forte, but it's better to wait till you have all three, because that will help you generate more concerto. The third plunge generates the most. You can also gain one charge on her forte by using her intro. You can see my forte is empty. I'm gonna build outro with Verena, intro with Roccia, and I get one charge. So I imagine her sub DPS gameplay will be something like intro with Roccia, use her liberation, fill your forte, do some plunge until you fill your concerto, then you outro to your Camellia or main DPS to pass them all Roccia buffs. And what are those buffs? Well, this one from her outro is the most important, 20% Havoc and 25% basic attack. And there is this other one in her liberation that gives up to 200 flat attack, but you need to have at least 70% crit rate on her to max it. And the last one, once you activate her second passive, this one, when you use her outro, the next character will have the grapple replaced with another tornado. And you can use that while Roccia is off field to gather enemies together. You can see it on my Verena here, the purple skill, and I'm gonna drop it on these enemies. For her echoes there are two main options. You can use Moonlit set if you want her to buff your main DPS more, or the new Havoc set, Midnight Bell, if you want to increase Roccia's personal damage at the cost of buffing your main DPS a bit less. They will be really close overall, mostly depends on the way you wanna play. In general, if you have a good build on Camellia, using Moonlit to buff her is gonna be slightly better, and you may have it farm already, so just keep using it. Your God 4 is gonna be Heron, Phantom 1 if you are on Moonlit, or the new Nightmare Heron if you are on Midnight Bell. Main stat, crit rate if you are using a crit damage or attack weapon, and crit damage if you are using a crit rate weapon. For the cost 3, you want Havoc damage main stats, or one of them with attack percent is fine too, and attack percent for the cost 1. On the sub stats, you want crit rate and damage, especially crit rate to reach 70% and max her attack buff, then attack percent, flat attack, and heavy attack bonus. I don't think she will need high energy regen, but a few energy substats are always good to have. Oh, and if you're struggling to get 70% crit rate to match her attack buff, using 4-4-1-1-1 with 2 crit rate main stats is always an option. For her weapon, Trashy Comedy, her signature is gonna be the best one of course. Otherwise, you can use Abyss Sarges, the one from Permanent Banner, or Marcato as a 4-star option to fill Concerto faster and speed up the rotation. If you have Xian Liao weapon or Stoner from Battle Pass, you can use them to balance your crit and reach 70% easier, but the passives are useless on her. Remember, her liberation damage counts as heavy attack, she does 0 liberation damage. Finally, her teams. This is Camellia's best team now, or with Shorekeeper instead, and Roccia will replace Sanhua as a sub DPS here. How much better than Sanhua is she gonna be, or is she even gonna be better? I cannot tell you right now, need to test her when she releases. You can come back to this channel next week and I'll have a Roccia vs Sanhua comparison. If you don't have Camellia, you can use Havoc Rover instead, but one of Roccia's buffs will be wasted because Rover doesn't do that much basic attack damage. And if you wanna try Roccia as the main DPS, your hero slot will be the same, Shorekeeper or Verena, and for your buffer, there are not many options honestly. You can use Tanshin to buff Havoc damage, or Mortefi for heavy attack buff. And to finish, let's take a look at Roccia's sequences. S1 is an nice QL, faster Concerto regen, and you become immune to interruption in your plunge attacks. That's pretty good, cause at T0 the enemies can push you out of your plunges like this, and it's really annoying. S2 is really good, up to 40% Havoc buff for the team, and at this point you have the best sub DPS Roccia possible, cause the rest of the sequences only increase Roccia's damage, making her a much better main DPS, but don't provide any team buffs. S3 gives her additional crit rate and damage, S4 buffs her plunge attacks, S5 buffs her liberation and heavy attacks, and S6 is a 60% defense ignore, which is a lot, plus she also gets to do more plunge attacks after the third one without having to recharge her forte. That's it for this Roccia pre-release guide. If this video helped you, please consider leaving a like or subscribing, and I'll try to keep making similar ones for future characters. Thank you so much for watching today, and I hope to see you soon.